Is your business built on sand? Most solo business owners don't realize that the problems that they're having are not business problems, they're clarity problems. So, welcome. We're glad that you're back with us. It's really good to have you along as we dive deep into today's topic. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the six foundational rocks. So, who you are, who do you help, how do you measure success, all of that kind of stuff. Why your unique angle needs to be trademarkable common sense, and the core offer as the corner of your business.
That's significant. We're going to dive deep into this. And I'd like to ask that first question, you know, and let's explore, what are the six foundational rocks that every solo business needs, and how does it contribute to stability during our growth phase, right?
Yeah, you see, I find that really interesting because every business goes through growth phases,
Yeah.
multiple times in their journey. It's very much like, to me anyway, it's very much like fitness. You know, you train for something, you get better at it, and then you kind of plateau a little bit. And in order to break through that plateau, you have to do something different. And that happens in business too. So just because you are maybe a little bit further along in your business journey than somebody who's just starting out, you're still going to go through these phases. And it's really important that you have that stability, that foundation really clear so that you can move through those plateaus much faster. So they don't slow you down, you don't get bogged down um,
Yeah.
for a long time. So there's
Yeah.
six of them that are the bedrocks really of business. This is the Potent Productivity Podcast for entrepreneurs, creators, and business owners who are tired of busy work, burnout, and advice that sounds good but changes nothing.
We go beyond hacks and hype to talk about the real emotional journey behind building meaningful work, the doubt, the pressure, the resilience, and the breakthroughs.
If you want more clarity, stronger momentum, and a business that actually fits who you are, you're in the right place.
Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment so you don't miss a thing.
So, to me anyway, there's you. So, who are you? What is it that makes you relevant and credible in the space that you want to be in? Not just about um, qualifications and stuff like that, but what's your story? How did you end up where you are? What makes you approachable and recognizable to other people? Secondly, is your ideal customers, or who are they? Like, who is it that you're talking to? Who do you really care about helping? And these are not just people that you randomly pick. These are people that are perfectly matched to you. So you're not wasting energy on the wrong audience. Thirdly, is your USP. So your unique angle. What is it that makes you different to everybody else? And why having a trademarkable name really gets you a lot further faster. And then fourthly is your core offer. So that's the one thing that you want to be known for. It's the one thing that embodies everything that you do, and how that can be the flagship kind of product of your business. And then, of course, there's your website. So how do people find you? How do you control the narrative of what's being said about your ideas and your opinions? And how do you put it together in a way that makes sense to the people who are trying to find out more about you? And then, of course, there's your numbers. So lastly, there's your numbers. Like, how do you track success? What does that look like to you?
And there's so much to unpack just in this first question. We have several more to go. And I think it's really important that, as a solo business owner and going through what I've gone through and knowing what you've gone through,
Mhm.
we're emotionally burdened. We get burned out. We're the chief cook and bottle washer. We are the ones that are responsible for everything, from building the website to social media and et cetera, et cetera. So, when we're looking at what are the priorities that can help us move out of the muck of being stuck
Yes.
into real productivity
Mhm.
that gets me closer to the goals that are close to my heart, right? So taking these little steps and being very clear about what are the rocks of the foundation that we build our productivity on, right?
Yeah, and I think when you're headed down the road of business, it's really difficult to stop and take a look from the outside as to how you got where you got to, and
Yeah,
then where you want to go next. And sometimes those things don't match. And tweaking those foundational pieces so that they are following and supporting everything that you do from now on is really important, because the cracks in these foundations will cause you so many business problems. And we
right,
end up then what I call symptom chasing. So we're running from
right,
one issue to another,
right,
thinking that it's the business that's the problem when it isn't,
right,
it's the clarity of the foundations.
right, right. And when we don't have that clarity, that just feeds the imposter monster
Oh,
as well,
yes.
and it's like, because yeah, we do. It's like every solopreneur, that's stuck where we've been stuck, feels like an imposter, feels like a fraud.
Hmm.
If I can't do this for myself, what gives me the right to do this, think that I can do this for my client, et cetera, especially for coaches.
Oh,
That's a whole
yeah. Yeah,
whole
absolutely.
challenge for coaches too. But,
Yeah.
you know, but it is. It's like, we sometimes I'll sacrifice clarity for my to-do list. If I just get enough done on my to-do list, then I'll feel better about myself and, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't build a foundation. That just keeps us spinning our wheels and not getting forward anywhere. For example, it's like in clarity, it's like, what example can we give our audience, for how lack of clarity leads to business collapse, and what signs indicate a business is built on sand?
Yeah, I mean, when you have cracks in your foundational rocks, then it is the equivalent of building on sand. You know that whole idea of don't build your house on sand, build it on a rock. But the thing for me is that it's not just any rock, it's the perfect rock for you. And that's not the perfect rock for you, full stop. That's just for you right now. Things will change, and this is why I need to keep revisiting these foundations. And I didn't realize that I was building my business on sand when I was in the fitness industry, because
Mhm.
I thought it made a lot of sense to me. My brain was following a logical pattern, it was learning a lot. I was really enjoying learning a lot. But what I didn't realize was it wasn't what I wanted. You know, it didn't feel like the best fit for me. So I ended up picking a niche that made sense, but it wasn't fulfilling to me. It wasn't fulfilling um, my soul, really. And when you have issues like that, you end up presenting a version of yourself that is not 100% who you are, because we paper over or we pretend we don't have mistakes and failures and learning opportunities and all those things, because we're not willing to be vulnerable with those people because we don't feel like we belong with them. But that's kind of that's why your business will fall apart, and that's why my business fell apart when COVID hit, because I was kind of half distanced from this community of people that I was trying to sell to, but I had that selling mindset. I wasn't connecting with them on an emotional level. And so when COVID came along, I it wiped out their businesses overnight, and then therefore wiped out my business overnight. And because those foundations weren't clear enough,
Right,
I couldn't rebuild.
right,
It was just too much for me. So, like, some signs that your business might be built on sand is that you just end up not finishing stuff, right? You just got a pile of unfinished projects that are on the go. You feel like you've got a
right,
15 different plates spinning all the time. You are doing what I call symptom chasing. So you're running one from one problem to the next, trying to have it fixed, only to have it reappear later on as something else. And that
right,
you just feel like you're really busy. So you feel like you're achieving a lot, but you're not actually moving anything forward, and there's very little financial reward from all of your efforts. And
Not only
it
that,
basically feels like you're just trying to push water uphill, you know?
right, right, right. And not only that, it just feeds that, that self-doubt, when we're just chasing after the to-do list, looking for anything that's going to make us feel good about what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. But yet inside we really don't believe it because we don't have that clarity. We don't have that clarity of direction, that clarity of purpose, that clarity of strategy or action, etc.
Mm,
And that self-doubt undermines everything that we try to do. And we've both talked about self-doubt in our books and stuff like that.
mm,
And it's really important to recognize, how that impacts clarity. Clarity is a solution. But it's like I was talking to one of my clients today, and it's like the three questions that most business owners that I've coached don't want to answer is, what do I want? What am I doing? And why am I doing it?
yeah.
And they don't, me, I, haven't spent that time, in the past of examining that question honestly because I'm afraid that I might not get not just that I might not get what I think I want, but that what I think I want may not be what I really want. And I've just invested and spent all this time and energy and effort doing something that I didn't want to do in the first place.
Yeah.
We're so afraid of our own reality that we just keep ourselves busy and in that fog. But what we don't realize is that that fog never goes away until we get that root level of honesty and clarity.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy for solo business owners particularly to get lost in to lose themselves in the business that they're creating because they
Yeah.
focus on other people so much. I mean, all of the people that I work with really care about helping other people, right? So they put themselves on the back burner to help other people. So what tends to happen, or the pattern that I have noticed, is that you lose sense of who you are and what you want from your own business. The business kind of runs you instead of you running it, you know, and that's the difference that clarity brings. When you have real clarity about who you are, what you want, and how to get it, that's huge because it helps you to eliminate all those distractions. It helps you to just come and get the job done every day instead of thinking, oh, well, I wonder if this would be better or whatever. It's that, you know, eliminating all that 10 hours a week of questioning what you're doing and wondering what you should do next, you know?
Right, right. And there it's like we're not here just pontificating. We're here to provide some practical solutions
Mm.
for you, the solo business owner. So, what are some practical steps that a solopreneur can take to assess whether their current branding and messaging are broad and blurry or specific and sharp or what have you?
Yeah, I mean, there's three things that I like to suggest to people. One is the 10-year-old test. Like, can you explain what you do to a child or in really simple language, right? Two is the trademark test. So, does your method or your approach have a trademarkable name? Like, I have the potent productivity method. Or you just using generic industry terms? You know, generic is blurry, trademarked is sharp. People might not know what their trademark is, but if I say the potent productivity method to somebody, they go, oh, what's that? And that clarity of what I do and who I am and my approach creates interest, it creates curiosity. And the people who actually care ask more. You know, it leads to the next conversation rather than just being generic. Oh, I have a, business training course that's, yeah, however long it might be or whatever, it's when it's very clear about what it is that you do, it changes everything. And the third thing is the vibe test. You know, who are the people in your target audience that you really, really resonate with? They make you feel great just talking to them, even when you're just chatting. You actually want to spend time with these people because they are the people who you will be vulnerable with. They are the people who can help you in the problems that you're having, but also you can help them in return. And that's when it stops feeling like sales and it starts feeling like help, you know?
There you, yeah. Yeah, and that's really, really big. I mean, I think that what I have found in the past for myself is trying to explain what I do in 10 seconds. You go to a business networking group and they're like, you have 90 seconds to, introduce yourself and tell you what you do. And you're like, I need 10 minutes. I can't do this in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And, not realizing that, by not having a clear message, I was confusing anybody who wanted to do any business with me,
Hmm.
because I wasn't clear, and it was having that clarity gave me the ability, well, gave me precision, gave me the ability to be precise in my messaging, in my ability, not just messaging, but my ability to connect with not just a potential client, but with anybody,
Yeah.
you know, because it's not just about me communicating to somebody else, it's somebody else saying, oh, I met this fellow Robert and he does blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, you know
Hmm.
what? I don't know what he really does.
Yeah.
And you want someone to be able to repeat what it is that you do because that's how networking works. We're in business,
Exactly.
business, and
Yeah.
also we connect with each other. So I want to make it easy for other people to talk about me.
Yeah, and I've been in both of those situations, and I'm sure you have too. When I
Sure.
was treating injuries and I was created my own way of doing things, and I wasn't using the same approach as everyone else, people would come and they would say, "Oh, well, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she asked me what you do, and I couldn't explain it, but they'd just go, well, I don't know what she does, but it just works." Right? That's broad and blurry. That's not helpful. But then I
Right.
was having a conversation today with somebody who I've not seen for probably 25 years. And he was asking me what I was doing now. And I said, "Oh, I help solo business owners to understand their unique angle and how to position themselves in the marketplace and how to find their corner of the market." And he went, "Oh, that sounds really interesting. What do you?" And he started asking a whole bunch more questions. Now, the difference is that when I was treating sports injuries, people would talk about the treatment that I'd done for them. And when somebody else started saying the same, "Oh, I'm having this issue," they'd need 20 minutes or 10 minutes to talk about who I am and what I do and how I can help them. But next time the guy I spoke to today hears somebody struggling with that kind of stuff, he'll go, "Oh, I know the perfect person for them. This is what they do. This is how you get in touch with them. This is how they can help you."
Yes. Yes. And it's like this leads right into the next question too. It's like because I, as a solopreneur in the past, have gotten into this buffet trap. When trying to define whatever my core offer is or what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And because I do everything and everybody's my customer.
Yeah.
Good luck with that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So what are some things that we can do to avoid that buffet trap?
Yeah, I think first of all, clarify what the buffet trap really is. And it's when you have a
Yeah.
mishmash of products that don't really seem to have any bearing on each other.
Right.
Maybe you've got a checklist over here and you've got a training over there, and there's different topics that you can't really cross sell, you can't really blend into each other. So if somebody's coming in to get your checklist, you can't then sell them the training because it doesn't make any sense. And then you end up with so many different funnels and so many different products, each specific to that one funnel, that you can't then mix them and create a decent business out of it. And the one thing that I found is that the more I create, the less I sell. So the less I focus on, the fewer things I have to focus on, the more able I am to cross match and cross-sell them. So
Yes.
that's avoiding the buffet trap, is getting that clarity, because you focus on what you want, you're focusing on what you're capable of, which as a human being, you have limits, right? We don't like to admit that, but we do all have limits. Okay, we have a limited capacity of time and effort and focus and all those kinds of things. But when you can really narrow it down to having one flagship training that incorporates everything that you're about and your entire approach, that teaches people from not having it to totally changing who they are and what they do, or their business, or whatever it is, or whatever transformation you're creating, that one thing creates a transformation. That
Mhm.
then becomes your core flagship product. And it allows you to build an ecosystem of stuff that feed into that product. So all of the smaller items then don't become separate standalone products. They become part of a system that's driving people to that one flagship training. So then it becomes less about how many things I can create, and you can start focusing on the quality of what you're creating and really then optimize those to have them working properly for you and your business.
Yeah, and that's clear and it's straight to the point. And without, again, without that clarity, we end up, we're great at creating, right? I'm great at creating. You're great at creating.
Yeah,
And I feel like, oh, everything I create's got to be sold. Everything I create has to be useful. Everything I create has to belong to somebody else. It's not possible,
mm.
and it's just not possible. It's not practical. Yes, it's wonderful to create, but, you know, as a business owner, you know, the energy and time that I spend creating has to return a profit,
Yeah,
and otherwise I have a hobby instead of a business,
yeah,
right? And that's a distinction. It's a very big distinction. So having that clarity about, who is my customer, what problem do they have, what solution do they want, and then what solution have I created to help them, and then everything that I create lines up with that so that what I'm creating is useful, is usable, and profitable, not just to me, but to them, to my customer.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I
Right.
think for me, it creates a framework.
Yeah.
Having that one core offer creates a framework that then allows your creativity to go crazy
Mm.
without driving you crazy. Because if
Yeah.
you've got too many scattered pieces, you will lose your mind. It's the
Been
quickest
there,
way to
done that.
insanity.
Haven't gotten it back yet. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with being a multipreneur as opposed to a solopreneur.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we know that, and again, it's about having that focus for the business that I'm in. Okay, I've got multiple businesses, but when I'm working on that one business, I'm focused on what's important for me in that business to bring that clarity into that. So we talked earlier about, it's like being able to explain something to a 10-year-old, and so as we get close to wrapping up, what are some techniques that folks can use to help explain their business effectively, to other people clearly and why it's important?
Yeah. And one the thing that I like to suggest to people is that they
Mm.
trademark their common sense, right? And that sounds a bit crackers, but what is common sense to you is new to somebody else.
Right.
I mean, I still joke about it all the time. The thing that I've learned about common sense is that nobody else has got any, and that's because it's common to me. It's not common to the world. And when I think everybody knows it, I dismiss it, I undervalue it, and I don't communicate that to the world, right? But when you create your own trademarkable system around you, what is just common sense to you, then it allows you to really take ownership of it and get excited by it. I mean, it's exactly what happened to a client of mine I was working with last year. She wanted to really help emergency workers who are working on the night shift, to be more self-aware and, be able to protect themselves more. And she thought that everything that she knew, that she'd spent a lifetime learning as a police officer and, special crime unit and all this kind of stuff, she thought that what she knew was just common sense. And these
Mm.
techniques that she was teaching or telling me about were just rolling off the tongue because it was just, well, everybody knows that, or it's tiny, or it's such a tiny piece of what they know that they think it's just too small to be important. But I worked with her and we created a system that it was an acronym of the steps in her system, but it actually spelled badass. I mean, it's spelled with two D's, but um, as soon as we created that system, as soon as she had a name for it that she could trademark, she claimed it. And it was
Yeah.
like, actually, this is my system. It's completely what I know. It's who I am. I can't be anything other than this system because that's how I do things. And so she started to take ownership of it, and it gave her so much confidence. And she even wrote a book. I have it here. And she didn't have the confidence. She always wanted to write a book, but she didn't have the confidence to write it because she didn't think that what she knew was worth anything. But when she had the trademark available, or when she had that system in place that she knew that nobody else had, it just changed everything.
Mm. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. What does badass stand for?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. I I knew the first two letters of the first step, and it was be aware. But it's been a
Uh,
while, so I'm not going to pretend that I know.
that's cool. That's just cool.
You'll have to go and buy her
Um,
book to read it. There you go.
there you go. There you go. Super. So, we've covered a lot of ground today. Um, and let's wrap things up.
Cool. All right, so uh I know we covered like all the foundational rocks and we've talked about ownership of your USP and all that kind of stuff. And I mentioned in the beginning, way back in the beginning, that these things are cyclical, right? You come to these periods in your life, in your business, when things don't feel like they fit quite right anymore, and these cracks will start to appear in your foundations. And it's not that you're terrible at business, it's not that you haven't done anything right. It's just that you've grown and your messaging and your foundations have not grown with you. So um, I want to give you a tool to make sure that you are having like a little check of yourself, so you can kind of do a little analysis of yourself, an audit if you like. And it's available as part of the waitlist for my Potent Productivity Academy, which is an 8-week training that covers all of these things in really good detail to help you really figure out where you are in your business, where you go next. But I'm not into this whole sit and wait kind of thing, right? Because the academy I only teach it a couple of times a year. So I wanted you to be able to do something straight away. And so I've given you what I call my Potent Productivity Primer, which is it's like an action taker's kit, okay? And it's totally free. So you get a free copy of my book, Stop Doing It All, and the companion workbook that goes alongside that. So you can work through all of that stuff step by step, all the way through the process, all the way through the Potent Productivity method. But also, I'll give you a 5-day email intensive that gives you certain things to do every day. And day one of that is the honest audit, right? So we take a look at your business. We take a look through the steps of the Potent Productivity method and allow you to really take a look at your business, where you're at now and where you might want to go next. And it's like it's almost like a surgical strike, on the
Yeah.
business, and it's totally free. So you
Wow.
can go and sign up for that at potentproductivitypodcast.com, and you will find the link on the page there.
Absolutely. That's incredible. And if you're watching, well, obviously you're watching, so you're you would be remiss if you did not get these incredible bonuses. They're really remarkable, and they will truly help turn things around for you quickly. So I highly encourage you, go to potentproductivitypodcast.com, sign up on the wait list, get these free bonuses very quickly, and start applying the principles and watch what happens.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Robert. I know you
Yeah.
hate it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What
That's
is
okay.
your biggest takeaway from today?
I think the biggest takeaway has really been about recognizing that the self-doubt is related to, my business fog,
Mhm.
and where I can get so obscured about what my real goals are and get caught up in the busy work, get overwhelmed, feel bad about myself, and create this vicious cycle of
Mhm.
just being, stuck in the muck, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, the only way out of it is clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
that's my biggest takeaway is that the foundational pieces, so those rocks that we spoke about before,
Yeah.
they are they are why you are having all of the problems that you're having in your business, even though it might
Yeah.
not seem related. I think it's a really important point to take away from today.
Yeah. Great. And so, yeah, and next episode, we're going to talk about the 5 pillars of balance and how to stop the daily game of business whack-a-mole.
Oh yeah, yeah, I hate that game.
I love that game. Wait a minute. No, not in business, but
Not in
anyway.
business, no. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment and give us your thoughts. We love to
Yes,
know what's going on in your business, and we can't help if we don't know. So make sure you're commenting and liking and sharing the videos too
absolutely.
if you like it. So we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Potent Productivity Podcast, where we pull back the curtain and dive into the real emotional journeys behind entrepreneurship. We're your hosts, Sarah
And Robert. And we know that building a business isn't just about crushing your to-do list or chasing overnight success. It's about navigating the ups and downs and unexpected turns that come with following your passion.
We're not here to sell you easy wins or rehearse the same tired success stories you've heard 1,000 times. We're here to talk about the moments when enthusiasm is buried beneath a mountain of tasks, when self-doubt creeps in, and when you're not sure where your road leads next.
So each week, we'll share raw conversations, real lessons, and practical strategies to help you reconnect with your creativity, build resilience, and rediscover what excited you about your business in the first place.
If you're ready for honest talk, community, and actionable inspiration, you're in the right place. Let's get real. Let's reclaim your potent productivity together.